My heels clicked softly against the marble floor as I walked toward the floor-to-ceiling windows of my corner office. The city sprawled beneath me like a glittering map of everything I'd built. The morning sun caught the silver threads in my silk blouse, making it shimmer ever so slightly. I took a slow sip of coffee, the warm bitterness grounding me, before my phone buzzed insistently on the mahogany desk. It was a message from my mother, simple and loaded. "Call me when you have a minute. We need to talk about Daniel." My chest tightened. Daniel, my younger brother, the one whose $320,000 degree my parents had proudly funded while I navigated life on my own dime. I had built everything quietly. The clients, the investments, the little empire no one in my family suspected I could achieve. And yet, here they were, oblivious to the fact that I had not only survived, but thrived. I rested my hand on the smooth glass, feeling the chill through my skin, and let a small, ironic smile curl at the corner of my lips. They thought I was struggling, still scrambling like the girl they had overlooked. But I had my own plan, one that no college tuition could buy. I took a deep breath, letting the memories of long nights and empty wallets settle behind my eyes. It was time to confront the past, on my terms. I remember the day vividly, though it felt like a lifetime ago. I was 22, fresh out of college, my hands trembling as I stacked unpaid bills on the kitchen counter. Mom and Dad were bustling around, excitedly talking about Daniel's acceptance into the Ivy League, a $320,000 degree. Their pride was palpable, almost tangible, like a weight pressing down on me. "Isn't this wonderful, Sophia?" Mom said, glancing at me with that familiar mix of warmth and expectation. But I knew the real subtext. "You'll never need this. You're not the one we're investing in." I forced a smile, keeping the lump in my throat from showing. "It's amazing, really," I murmured. But inside, my chest ached with a bitter cocktail of resentment and disbelief. I had worked tirelessly through school, juggling 2 jobs, scholarships, and every odd gig I could find. And now, here was my brother, handed a golden ticket while I was still clawing my way through the trenches. Grandma Ruth had always been my quiet sanctuary. That evening, after the kitchen laughter faded, she pulled me aside and pressed a small, leather-bound journal into my hands. "You don't need their validation, Sophia," she said, her eyes sharp and soft at once. "Write your own story. Fund your own life. One day, they'll see the power of what you built yourself." Her words burned into my mind like a spark. That night, I sat on my tiny, squeaky bed, flipping through the journal, scribbling ideas, dreams, budgets, plans, anything that hinted at freedom. I felt the sting of being dismissed, the sharp pang of invisibility, but also a flicker of something else. Possibility. By dawn, I had made a decision. I would leave their expectations behind, silently carve my path, and create a life that was mine alone. No loans from my parents, no handouts, no reliance on anyone's approval. Just me, and the fire I had hidden for so long. I left that tiny apartment with nothing but a suitcase, Grandma Ruth's journal, and a fierce determination. The first few months were brutal. I worked as an assistant at a boutique marketing firm, my fingers raw from typing proposals late into the night, my energy drained by long days and impossible deadlines. Every dollar I earned went straight into savings, every spare moment spent learning new skills, digital strategy, branding, investment basics. I was building a foundation in secret, brick by brick, with no one cheering me on. It was during one of those long nights at a coffee shop that I met Claire Donovan, a seasoned strategist who would unknowingly become my guiding light. She noticed the intensity in my notes, the relentless pursuit in my questions. "You've got a sharp mind, Sophia. Don't waste it waiting for someone to notice you," she said, handing me a cup of espresso. Her mentorship became a lifeline. She taught me to negotiate, pitch, and believe in my worth, skills my parents never invested in teaching me. Slowly, the first victories came. My initial freelance clients were small, but each project taught me resilience and reinforced my confidence. The thrill of sending my first invoice without hesitation, of seeing my bank account grow from sparse digits to meaningful figures, was intoxicating. I watched others get handed opportunities, scholarships, and family support, yet I felt no envy, only resolve. I was creating something that was mine alone. There were nights I cried into my pillow, exhausted and uncertain. Doubts crept in. Am I really going to make it? Will they ever recognize me? But Grandma Ruth's journal reminded me, your value isn't measured by their validation. I held on to that like a talisman. Within 3 years, I launched my own consulting agency. My first big client, a mid-sized tech startup, trusted me with a campaign that ultimately doubled their revenue. Then another, then another. Slowly, the empire I had envisioned in my journal took shape, a small but powerful network of clients, investments, and a portfolio that grew quietly but impressively. And all the while, I kept it from my family. Social media posts were vague, occasional brunch snapshots or generic work photos, never hinting at the six-figure deals or the elegant downtown office that now bore my name discreetly etched in frosted glass. They thought I was still struggling, still paying my dues. In truth, I was silently funding not just my own dreams, but laying the groundwork for a future where I would hold all the cards. By the time I turned 28, I wasn't just independent, I was untouchable. And deep down, I knew that when the time came, I could reveal everything on my terms. The invitation was casual, almost innocuous. Dinner at our place tonight. We need to discuss some family matters. My mother's message had an undercurrent I couldn't ignore, one of subtle concern, mixed with expectation. I arrived at the house, heels clicking on the driveway, my tailored coat draped over my arm. The scent of freshly baked bread and roasting chicken greeted me as I stepped inside, a faint nostalgia brushing against the edges of my carefully armored composure. Mom and Dad were bustling, as usual, Daniel lounging lazily on the couch, scrolling on his phone. They didn't notice the subtle change, the way I moved with quiet authority, the small, confident smile that no longer sought approval. "Sophia, you're here," Mom exclaimed, her voice brimming with a mix of surprise and warmth. "Come, sit. We need to." I held up a hand, letting the words hang in the air. "Before we start," I said, my voice calm but carrying weight, "I think it's time you see where all these years of struggling have taken me." They exchanged glances, confusion flickering across their faces. Daniel smirked, expecting sarcasm or humility, but I could see the curiosity too, the tiny cracks in his complacency. I led them to the living room, or rather, my living room. The walls bore elegant art pieces, each a personal selection from travels and galleries I had visited alone. The furniture was understated luxury. Leather chairs, hand-stitched rugs, and a desk near the window, stacked with client portfolios, contracts, and neatly organized plans for expansion. Subtle hints of success, carefully curated, waiting for them to notice. I gestured for them to take it all in, letting the silence stretch just long enough. Finally, I spoke. I didn't wait for anyone to fund my life. I didn't ask for loans or handouts. Every step, every client, every investment you see, all of this, I built it myself. Mom's hands trembled slightly, clutching her apron. Dad's jaw tightened, a flush rising to his cheeks. Daniel's smirk faltered, his phone slipping from his grasp. You own all of this?" Dad asked, disbelief heavy in his tone. "Yes," I replied. "And more than that, I am financially independent. I control my investments, my business, and yes, I even planned ahead for your retirement, something I did quietly, without expectation of recognition." The room was still, the only sound the ticking of the antique clock on the wall. Shame, amazement, and an unspoken acknowledgement of my resilience hung thick in the air. Daniel opened his mouth, but no words came. They had expected a timid, struggling girl. They had never imagined Sophia Blake could rise so high, silently, unapologetically. I let the moment linger, letting them absorb the full weight of what I had accomplished. No gloating, no vengeance, just truth, undeniable and earned. The room felt different now, charged with a quiet tension I had longed to create. I saw the recognition in their eyes, but I also saw lingering doubt, unspoken questions. This wasn't just about proving my success, it was about reshaping the dynamics that had kept me sidelined for so long. "I'm willing to help," I began, my voice steady, each word deliberate. "But on my terms. Things need to change, not just for me, but for all of us." Mom's eyes widened. Dad leaned back, wary, while Daniel shifted uncomfortably, finally realizing this wasn't the casual conversation he had expected. "First," I continued, "Dad and Mom, you will respect my boundaries. No more comparisons, no more dismissiveness. Our past can't be erased, but our future can be built on mutual respect." I paused, letting it sink in. "Second, Daniel," I said, meeting his gaze, "you need to take responsibility for your life. That degree I paid nothing for, it's yours, but don't rely on it as a golden ticket forever. Learn, grow, and contribute meaningfully. No more expecting handouts or favoritism." Mom's lips quivered, but I saw understanding beginning to take root. "Third," I said, softer this time, "I've quietly planned for your retirement. But that support isn't unconditional. You must invest time in yourselves, pursue passions, learn financial literacy, and stop clinging to old habits that don't serve you." I could feel the weight of my words settle. This was not punishment. It was empowerment. I was offering them a lifeline, but one that required effort, growth, and accountability. They nodded slowly, the tension giving way to reflection. For the first time, I saw them truly considering the implications of their past choices. I wasn't asking for apologies, though those would be welcome, but for transformation. Finally, I added, with a faint smile, "And for me, I will continue to build, continue to thrive. I am happy to share guidance, advice, and opportunities, but only if we all honor the respect, effort, and independence that got me here." The room was still, but it felt lighter. The power had shifted, yes, but it wasn't about dominance. It was about establishing a new, healthier dynamic, one rooted in fairness, accountability, and acknowledgement of what had been overlooked for so many years. I realized then that the old dynamics of favoritism and invisibility were dissolving. For the first time, I felt a profound sense of liberation, not just for myself, but for the possibility that our family could grow beyond its past mistakes. Weeks passed after that dinner, and slowly, the changes began. Dad signed up for a financial planning course, something he had always joked he didn't need. Mom started volunteering at a community center, pursuing her long-forgotten passion for interior design. Even Daniel enrolled in a professional development program, finally realizing that success required effort, not entitlement. I watched all of this quietly, from my office and from weekend visits, my heart swelling with an unexpected warmth. I hadn't built my empire to punish them, nor to make them feel guilty. I had built it to prove to myself that I could rise, thrive, and remain unapologetically me. And now, seeing them step toward growth, I felt the weight of old wounds slowly lifting. One evening, I pulled out Grandma Ruth's journal from my desk drawer. Its worn leather cover and faint scent of lavender brought back memories of that pivotal night so many years ago. Flipping through the pages, I smiled at my younger self's handwriting, the dreams, the anxieties, the audacious plans scribbled with hope and determination. The journal had been my compass, my quiet encouragement when the world seemed indifferent. I realized then that the most profound victories are not measured in dollars or accolades, but in the quiet, steadfast commitment to honor oneself. I had funded my parents' retirement, yes, but in doing so, I had also invested in the future of our family's growth and healing. As I closed the journal and set it back on my shelf, I felt a sense of completion. Not perfection, but progress. Not revenge, but recognition. I had transformed pain into power, neglect into independence, and resentment into purpose. Standing by the window of my high-rise apartment, watching the city lights twinkle below, I whispered softly, half to myself, half to the universe. I am enough. I am strong. I am my own foundation. And for the first time, I meant it fully.